Hello everyone and welcome to another video on Code Tech and Tutorials. Now this is going to be a vlog style video and I've decided to do this. Okay, well, you know by the title what this already sort of is. This is something I've been working on that's been near and dear to my heart for all of 2019 and some of 2018. And you know, I'm really into reality and getting to the root of things, and I think it's good for people to address things as they are. So that's kind of what this is about this engine. Is that good news? Is that bad news? Well, it's actually great news. It's excellent news, especially for all of you out there, because I'm actually going to show something. Well, I'm not trying to. Okay, I'll just get to it. I'm not trying to say that this is some revolutionary thing because it's simply not. Other people have done it better. I am just a guy that's learning to program and working on game development and working on my own game engine and finding out it is extremely, I want to say challenging, and that's true, it's challenging, but it's also encompassing. And I don't know if that's the right word for it, but there's just a lot. There's so much to do. It's nuts. So I want to go through all these old branches and old iterations and just show what the engine was like in the past. And some of these are going to be terrible. And that's kind of the point. So here's all the branches. And what I want to say about these is these go in iterations. So I had this idea that I was going to knock out some games. And I talked to knock out building some games with my engine. And I talked to a few friends and they were sort of in, but they didn't really know how to help to be, because this is all kind of my thing. And well, they did help some, especially with keeping me motivated more than anything. And yeah, I just kind of want to show where they are, and I don't want to throw them under the bus because these are really my creations. So any flack they get for being as epically terrible as they might be is totally my blame and has nothing to do with them. So that's the only reason why I hesitate to like shout out credit and stuff, is I don't know if they want credit, but they did help and it meant a lot to me. Anyway, so phase 2 is the newest phase of this thing. This is what I'm working on currently. This is like the current development branch. And you know what? I'm just going to start going through these. So the games go up to 10. You'll notice that 9 is missing. Some of them weren't labeled because I decided not to put the numbers in until later, but 9 is on a different engine. What's going to happen is I'm going to delete all these branches and clean this up after this. And then once I get it all cleaned up, I'm going to actually make this private repo public. And I think it's due time, but I want to get rid of the mess that I created. I don't want people confused by this, like, what the heck is this? What branch am I supposed to use? I'm going to clean that all up after this video. So a part of it is just documenting what happened and what's going on. So let's jump into it. So first, I'm going to just go ahead and switch branches. Well, I've got some stuff to commit from whatever the heck I was working on. So I'm just literally going to name it hold, commit all this, and push it, because it's fine. It doesn't, you know, I know where I'm at. All right, so that's all pushed up to GitHub and up to date. And we're going to go into manage branches and go to the remotes, and we're going to find some originals. Now, master's pretty up to date. I wonder if I can get up on screen well, let's do this. I'm going to minimize this. Let's see if we can get up on screen something about the branches here. So let's see here. We go to branches. Let's look at stale. Okay, it shows build 1 and build 2 is stale. All these games are stale, and they're kind of in order. So this is actually perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. So yeah, it was kind of, this is how it kind of all started. Okay, from how this really started, another quick little story is basically I was taking a computer graphics class in college, and as one of my final projects, I kind of started what was beginning to turn into more of a game engine than an actual game. And that was just out of necessity, I guess. And that's kind of what these eventually turned into. I graduated college. I kept working on stuff, and build 1 and build 2 were that, and then all these games. So we're going to show you the games. And I guess 9 and 10, I'm going to have to show you 9 in Unreal, because and that doesn't mean it's good. I didn't know how to use Unreal. I was just goofing around, basically trying to do something. All right, so let's do this. Game 1. Let's go to build 1. I feel like I say let's do this all the time, like overhyping and then just talking more. Okay, so this is on an old version. It's probably not going to like that. I might have to go to my laptop because I know this works on. Oh no, build 1 doesn't work. I tried it on my laptop too and it didn't. So I have something configured wrong, an old version of something. I think it actually said there, but I'm not going to address this. Oh, it's an it uses a different version of a simp. Okay, that's maybe something we can solve quickly. I think a lot of these do. Oh, I just need the DLL for it, and I don't have it. Do I want to mess with that right now? Not really. Okay, let's go on to build 2. Build 2 is a lot like build 1. There's not going to be a huge difference. Build 1 might even look better because I think it's just minor changes. But I think in build 1 I had the field of view a little different and stuff like that. So build 1, whatever. We're going to forget about that. Build 2. So this is the one that's more worth showing off a little, I guess. All right, so here's what it looked like. How long ago? Let's look at this. 9 months. Okay, so it's been 9 months. That's not bad. It feels like it's been years, honestly. Time's been crawling for this engine. I know people usually say time flies, but I feel like I've been working on this forever, and I guess I have. 9 months is a pretty long time, but it honestly feels to me like if I didn't have track of time and just said, oh, I don't know, was that 2 years ago? You know, it feels like 2 years. So I don't know. I guess it's just the way it is when you're programming and you're very critical. This is still compiling, don't worry. And once this launches, we'll be able to play the game and take a look about it and see what it does. I'll explain it. I'm probably not going to go through the code. The code is probably a mess, so I don't even want to get into that. But if there's a lot of, I'll probably wait a week to make this public, or maybe 2. So if there's a lot of comments saying like, I want to see the code for this or that, I'll do it. That's fine. So that way these branches won't be deleted immediately after the video. Okay, so here we are. We're in the game. I made it full screen. So I had first person controls working, and I had the movement working with ASWD, standard WASDA, and I had a little jump, and it's a little wonky. It's not even going through a function, so it just, you go up and then you fall down, but it doesn't do it like in a proper arc. But once you're falling, here's the thing about the way I was doing the jump logic at this time, and I was custom writing it. When you're falling, you stop going forward, so you just go straight down, like plop, and it's weird. Well, wait. I think I have it so if you're falling and you stop pressing forward, you go straight down, which is confusing. And you can't restart going forward if you're already falling. So that's a mouthful, but that was like the logic I had, and it ended up being a little wonky because it's hard to get on top of blocks. Now, really, this game doesn't really have a beginning and end. It's basically just a bunch of randomized blocks with textures and lighting and light about your character. So as you walk through this giant mass of random blocks with random textures, some of them I created from pictures that I took, like so, like so. Yeah, all these little flower ones are stuff from a hike, and I just took a bunch of pictures. And these other ones are, I don't know, that's actually from a tree I saw. The other ones are just random stuff I created or had, and some of them were grabbed off the internet. So I think this one was grabbed off the internet. This is just a little circle I made in GIMP. Nothing, there's a lot of weird stuff. This was water, but it didn't really. You can tell, I guess, like right there, but it's on the block. It's like, what the heck is that? So yeah, this, and apparently I got 1 pixel off there, so whoopsie. So yeah, this was basically just a way for me to stress test. I wanted to see how many blocks I could render. I wanted to test my randomize functions, and I wanted to test my lighting, and just that all the textures worked. And there's just a bunch of cubes. Everything's a cube. The floor is a cube. Your player's a point. So your you got a camera, of course, but you're a point. So it's like it checks the collision logic with a single point for the player. And basically the goal is to get on top. If you can get to the very top of the blocks, the highest one, you win. And another weird thing, as you can see, I'm walking on darkness. The jump or the fall logic doesn't update unless you press jump. So you can, once you're up to a level, you can walk around and figure out where else to jump. So it's kind of a unique gameplay element that was unintentional. Is yeah, you got to get to the top, but to make it a little easier for you, once you're to some certain level, you can walk around the level at that level, find something else to jump on, and then begin again. And you know, you can kind of climb that way and you get a little freedom. Let's try this one, for example. I'm just going to try to theoretically beat my own game. So this is pretty good actually, because I can jump right here. And where else can I go? I guess I can go over here. And if I mess up any of these jumps, and remember the jump is wonky. Okay, that set me a little below the plane, but now that's good. And the colliding I was using was just AABB box collision, nothing special there. You can look it up and find tons of info about that. And I'm getting close to the top now. Oh no, okay. The fall on the jump is very easy to mess up. See, there's probably the top right there. Is there anything higher? I don't see anything. Maybe that one is. I don't know. This one looks a little higher to me. Can we get it? Yes, we did it. All right. So we're now on top of this little world of our Build 2 game, and we have, in theory, 1. We can go walk around on the top if we want at this level. So, yeah, this was really not truly a game. This was just a big stress test randomization function to place blocks and textures and test out the collision and the jumping, and it was a good, fun build. These were good times, and I was pretty happy with how the lighting was looking at this time. There's no shadows or anything, as you can tell. Okay, well that's it for Build 2. Let's get out of here. So that was 9 months ago that was last worked on, and what you're going to see is that's probably going to be one of the most impressive looking ones. And the reason why is, as we started doing these little game builds, well, it was, I say we, but it was really me. I imposed a 1 week time to work on them, and that time often went into figuring out things on the engine and trying to add features. And yeah, I guess at the time I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they're not as bad as I think, honestly. I don't remember, but I feel like they're pretty bad. Okay, so then we go to tactics. Now, be warned, I don't think this works at all. So let's just see what it is. Let's go to tactics. This was the first game, the first week. We tried to make a game. And the goal here, I'll talk about the goal, but you won't see it reflected in any gameplay or anything. The goal was to make like a little Final Fantasy Tactics type move around game where you could have a little battle. And I don't think I really got it to where I wanted. Now, as you saw in Build 2, there was no skybox. I started trying to implement a skybox later, so we might see a little of that. And we might see some iterations of that. So I'm actually really excited to do this video and keep going with it. This is probably one of the first vlogs that I was kind of excited about when I thought about doing this. The others, I kind of just did them because I felt like I needed to do something. I don't know if you guys ever feel like that. You're just like, I got to do something. What needs done? Okay, let's do that. And rest assured it is compiling. While it's compiling, let's go look at these branches again. So just to fill the time, looks like our next one's Rat Scav, then Endless Runner. I think Endless Runner was the first one that kind of worked. And these X's, I don't know what these X's mean. Okay, the game's launching. This is tactics. Okay. Here we go. I remember this. This is all coming back. We tried a lot of different things, and I ended up kind of doing a randomized height map. So this was intended to be the little map that your little grid characters would sit on. And you could have it at different levels for, you know, height processing for, I don't know, whatever you're doing, if you're shooting arrows or something, or you're attacking. And the collision's still in here on the camera, which is sort of weird because it's not how it's intended. I basically didn't get around to doing anything with placing little guys on the map because I was figuring out stuff. And so this is what tactics ended up looking like. The start of what would be a grid map. All right, let's get out of here. So you were warned. It's not going to work. Let's take a look at Rat Scav. I don't remember what happened here, to be perfectly honest. This is going to be a total surprise for me. I don't think it was anything functional. So we'll see what it looks like. Good old Rat Scav. We've checked it out. Now let's hit build. This is one of the great things about GitHub and Visual Studios. You can just, it's this easy to switch between builds. Well, obviously build 1 wasn't working. So I might as well delete that, to be honest, but I'm going to keep it for now. Maybe I'll dig into it. You know, I say that, but it's like I have a million other things to do. I'm not going to dig into an old branch. What am I kidding myself? All right, so this one's getting deleted. We'll do it live. Delete from remote. It's gone. Type in passkey. I'm going to do this off screen. I don't know if it will even matter. It's not like you can see, but type. All right, so build 1 is gone, and that's perfect because it was totally useless. These animation attempts were, they were garbage. Okay, we are compiling, so we are compiling Rat Scav right now. But while that's going, these animation attempts, I'll probably delete these too. I have no idea what's going on anymore. I was basically just playing around with trying to animate models, and I didn't get it quite working ever too well. I got some basic versions of it working, but I had some issues with the way I was doing my logic and trying to add in bones. So this is Rat Scav. This isn't actually anything about Rat Scav, but as you can see, I got the skybox working, and so that was nice. And there's kind of a low quality. I think this bottom square texture is rotated wrong. Maybe yeah, it is. It needs to be right there. So that's interesting. But yeah, there is a skybox, and you can move endlessly towards it. But it is literally a box. If you see in the center of the screen there, you can sort of see a corner. But it's set to render in a way where you can never actually go through it. I don't think, anyway. I don't remember. No, it looks like it's going bigger. I think at this time we didn't have something about the view figured out about it. So it looks like you move towards the skybox. But so here I kind of managed to make a weird sphere, and it rendered wrong. I think I had the element indices wrong. Looks like I've disabled the jump in this build. So this is Rat Scav. There's really nothing. There's an original grid. I think I programmed in some plane building, and I don't know what else happened, but it didn't get very far. There's no rat scavenging, but I was kind of playing around with getting different models loading in and just placing things. I don't know. I obviously didn't finish this. There's no rat. There's no scavenging. It's not Rat Scav, but hey, maybe one day. Let's go to the next one. These are really embarrassing to show, actually, but you know, I don't care. Screw it. It needs to be dealt with, and like my life needs to move on. Endless Runner. Now this one I remember was pretty fun. I'm curious to see what it looks like. I don't expect anything great though, just be forewarned. But this was about the point where we started getting involved in some physics. And the physics aren't in this build, but I remember that my friend Eric had kind of sorted out the jump problem and had pushed that as a solution, but there was some issue with it. I don't remember exactly, so it's not in this build here. It was doing something else weird, like it was doing something like slingshotting you across the map at some point, so I didn't want to put that in the one that was like the done one, but it was a lot better. I remember it visually in the work he had done. So this is compiling, right? Is it? Yeah, I think it is. Endless Runner. And I believe this is a first-person Endless Runner, but these aren't all first-person. All right, well, it is compiling. I'm just some silence here. I don't know what else to talk about. I really don't want to edit this video. I don't want to have to edit. So I'm going to keep talking so it's more entertaining and people don't just leave all the time. But we got more to go through. This is going to be interesting. We're going to see all of these. So maybe if you don't have time to view all the video, you can come back later. Okay, here we go. Endless Runner. Let's make it full screen. All right, so I have a different skybox loaded up. Is it aligned properly? Actually, it looks decent. It's a little pixelated, and it doesn't do anything. It's just a big cube map. But here's Endless Runner, and I remember this now. Okay, so you start on the edge of a platform, like over a canyon, and there's nothing to do but run forward. So you run forward. It's got the little footstep sounds. And one loud footstep. I don't know why. These footsteps are actually, yeah, all these sound effects I recorded, I think. Except for the jump one. No, that's from, I don't remember where that's from, but that's not mine. That's someone else's. I honestly don't remember where it came from. But these footsteps are my recordings. I think they're my foot on pavement. Alright, so if you run, you can run with holding shift. Still got the good old first person controls sorted out. And I set the camera a little higher. You notice I'm your player is not right next to the blocks like it was in the previous version, so I figured out to raise the camera so it doesn't look so weird, like you're looking from someone's shoes or something. But yeah, we can just keep running. And this is literally the game. You literally just endlessly run. So I guess it's a complete game, right? It is what the title says. I don't remember if there's an end or not. I totally forget. I'm going to keep running. See if we can get to the end. And the footsteps do shut off when you're jumping. I think there's like an on-ground flag. I don't know how long this goes. Maybe I did make it endless. I feel like I had some kind of cap when I was programming it because there was something I didn't want to sort out to truly make it endless, so I just made it seem endless because you'll get so bored that you'll give up and just think it's endless. Alright, let's go to the next game. I think it's just really long. You will eventually get there, though, I believe. I remember at some points of building this, you could run through the skybox, and I don't think that happens in this one. Oh, is this the end? It's the end. Yeah, we did have... Okay, so the skybox is fixed in this one. You can't actually run through it. I think in that other build, Rat Scav or whatever, you could actually run through the skybox if you kept going. And we got that sorted out before this one. There's the end, the theoretical end. Can we jump off? Yeah, we can actually. The fall logic's all there. Whee! And I think it has a proper velocity. Those went out of render distance, so there is a render distance. But now that we're just endlessly falling, you can't really tell. I think I might have it logged. No, I don't have it logged. Okay, well, let's get out of that. And now we're on to Side Scroller Fighter. This one was fun. I actually started a job when I started working on this. So, I remember, I'm having memories of that week. That's interesting. It's really interesting. That, okay, let's check it out. That a code branch will bring back memories of a very specific week of your life. Because I remember sitting in my little Airbnb room, just working on this thing all week. As soon as I would get off work, I would go to my place, you know, I would eat or something, and then I'd go to my place and I would just like code all night. And it's interesting to just bring back all those memories. I even remember the places I ate and stuff. It's mostly Taco Bell. All right, so here we are. We're compiling Side Scroller Fighter. Side Scroller Fighter. So the intent of this was like, I don't know, an old arcade style game where you just fight from the side. And I didn't have a whole lot of time to work on this. So I remember this game because I compiled this one recently to show someone. I started getting some interactions with the objects working. So that was kind of the big milestone for me, is collision detection along with some movement of objects. And it was about this point that also I kind of lost my partner in crime in help because I was away and we couldn't communicate as well. All right, so you get a little guy. These are just stupid things I drew in GIMP in like 2 seconds. And you get a sword, and these enemies come at you. They got 3 hit points, I believe, so you got to hit them 3 times. And the attack is just a left click, and when you attack, it just makes this object appear that's a little sword. And obviously I didn't have the alpha sorted out. These are actually supposed to be 3D models, so these are like placeholders. And jump just makes you raise up in the air. So this is like the same level as the Endless Runner, it's just the camera's to the side, and it follows your character now. So I did get all that going. Let's make it full screen. And yeah, you basically just do this. You attack enemies. When one dies, another one spawns up ahead, so you can kind of keep running forward and attacking them. And if you get hit, it bounces you back. Okay, the audio is really loud on your guys' end. It's not for me. I'm going to turn it down. I'm sorry. Sorry if I blew it out anybody's eardrums there. My bad. All right. So, yeah, that's all this is. I think this goes about the same length as that Endless Runner. The next step here was I was going to get some health bars and kind of a reset screen, because you do die, but it doesn't actually do anything. The game like doesn't process that. So I just ran out of time, I think. But I remember getting real excited about like making things appear when you clicked and colliding with things and checking their collision. So that was collision. I always say collusion. That's a completely different word. All right. So this was a very exciting one to work on, and I feel like it was kind of a milestone for me because of all the new stuff. And yeah, just bringing back that week of working. I was working in Dayton, Ohio, and this is about the time I remember it was a week or two later, what was it? A tornado went through Dayton. It's crazy. All right, so let's go to the next one. And the rest of these, I was also working full time, so I don't remember getting a ton of time to work on these, but I'll see what I think. It was just like a couple weekend days a piece to work on these when it was supposed to be a full week. So let's take a look. Let's see what these are. So Battle Royale is the next one, and this one's not complete. I don't even think this is a thing. I don't even think this is playable. I think there's nothing here, to be honest. So don't have any expectations, but the intention was to get a couple players. I think I was going to do it with just a few AI bots, but yeah, it was supposed to be some sort of little replica of a battle royale. I don't remember really getting anything done. I remember wanting to do a mesh world with different heights and just basically somehow get a little server up where another person can connect, and it would the server would keep track of the positions and like maybe your main damage object. But I ran into some issues with the server stuff, and it took a long time. So I don't think I did learn a lot about the server side of stuff, but I don't think I got it functional. Yeah, it crashes here. It just straight up crashes. Oh, on a health bar render. I was trying to get health bars going too. So I don't know why exactly. I don't know why this ended up pushed, if it was a broken branch. So we're just going to skip that one for now. And we'll say that there's nothing really to show. But I do remember learning a lot. I really dug into a lot of networking stuff and how to like set up a little local server and build it yourself. So it was a very good week actually, as far as that. But I just didn't mess with this engine much because I was doing a lot of research. I think I made a side branch of this called like Ancient Archer server or something, and it's private, I believe. But it's not functional currently. I need to come back to that, and one day I would like to get it functional. But it was getting closer, and I was learning a lot. So let's go to MMO. I think this one was kind of cool. I remember working with a friend on this, my friend Eric, and he got a few moving things going, so that was kind of cool. And I don't know what else. We're honestly just gonna have to take a look. I don't remember what else happened here. I think there's some kind of little world or something. It looks like it's compiling. So as you can probably tell just by how much stuff I have to talk about, there's a lot of stuff to think about when you're making a game engine. We didn't even ever really get to things like particles, and our physics and collision were never very good. So I understand that it's kind of, or I guess it's important to understand that some of these things you just kind of need to get working if you want to show something, and then later you can improve it. But I also remember as I was going through these branches, I was often changing the layout of like the files, which is not a good idea because I just wasn't happy with it, and I was getting lost in code, and I was like, okay, the engine files need to go here. So some of these branches, rather than working on the game, I was spending a lot of time thinking about features, how to add them, what to add. And here we go. We're in. So this was it was a branch called MMO, and I was kind of working on a little world. I remember I wanted a player icon, so I ended up just putting this block here. And now, rather than the player being a point, like it was in some earlier versions, the player is a block. So it collides like a block and all that. But, it was just kind of a weird thing. We basically just added some various parts. We were going to add like more of a closed off world rather than a sky. But that's, we never really got to that. And that way you'd be like, kind of look like you're in a world or feel like you're in a world. But it feels like you're in like on a little space station or something. I don't know. And here's one moving thing that you have to get past, and then there's like I don't know, it's just a little maze. It's just a layout of rectangular blocks. It's really nothing special, but it was kind of fun to be like, all right, let's play around with some stuff. And really, that's it. It was just moving about a world. I think most of this time I was kind of messing with a lot of the engine code structure, and I remember not being happy with the sounds, so I turned them off. As you can hear, there's no jump sound or no walk sound, so that happened. All right, let's go to the next one, plant growing. And this one, the goal was to get just like some little game where you grow plants, and I don't remember what happened. I think it turned into Minecraft sort of thing. I may have made a video on it at one point because I was like, hey, this is cool, right? Well, let's check it out. It's compiling. It's compiling away. We'll be there in a second. Let's see, what else can I talk about while it's compiling? Let's look at these branches again. We're all the way up to plant growing. And if we refresh this, build 1 should be gone now because I deleted it. Yep, there it is, build 2, the oldest stale branch. And we've only got one more to show. I might show this. I don't know what this is. This isn't a game or anything, but if it's a working branch, I'll show it. I want to show kind of where it left off. Might as well. Okay, whoa, okay, I got a new skybox. I think I chose this skybox because it's a higher res. It's the one from Learn OpenGL. And I was just tired of seeing that low res skybox. I make this full screen. But as you can see, there's a little block in front of us, right in the center of the screen. And that's intended to be the detection block. So when you click it, if it overlaps with another block, it does something to that block. There you go. And in this one, it removes it. And apparently it extends out. I think it's actually a vector. So it's like, it has a bunch of checkpoints all the way up to that block and maybe even beyond it a little. It seems like beyond it because I'm clicking stuff beyond it. But here you can see we're just kind of clicking squares like we're mining them or something, and I can do that below us too. And you can actually dig way down in the world. I'll do that in a second. But there's also this little section. This is something we kind of left here to test with. Oh, but you can grab these. So the intention here was like, I wanted to get more interaction with blocks going. I didn't ever get to the plant because, well, I don't remember why exactly, but it basically just wasn't working out. Everything I was trying, and I had at some point some things that grew, but I wasn't happy with it, so I deleted it, and I didn't end up in this version. So this is really just like kind of a block game. I think if you right click, yeah, if you right click, you can place a block, but it was going to be like for placing plants. And I was just like into that code. I was still working full time too, so I think this was ended up being kind of a weekend thing of just messing with code. And there's the block. And you can collide with these blocks. No, you can't. Never mind. Later I added that. But you can kind of pseudo build things. I don't know. Let's be honest, it's not very good. There's no lighting at the character right now. So as you get close to blocks, you see darkness because the light's just a directional light pointing approximately in the direction I'm looking, I think. So on this side of the blocks, it's all dark, and that's kind of weird. Wait, can you turn on the light? Maybe I had a toggle? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, you can. The 1 key turns on your light. Yeah. Okay. So that was something I was messing with too. Toggling the light. I mean, it's not that hard, really. Once you have light, you can just toggle it off. Do it all in the code. But as you can see, you can kind of like mine down into the ground. And there's some different layers. I remember setting up all these layers. And I'm just going to mine down really deep. Oh, and eventually you get to lava. And after the lava, you fall through the world. So that's basically the whole thing. So that there was plant growing. As you can see, it wasn't plant growing at all, but more like just messing around with blocks. Next one was Space Shooter. I don't remember what happened with this. I think we abandoned it, unfortunately. Let me take a look. I was trying really hard to get like something working, and I was stuck at the time, and it was rough. I remember stressing out on this one, like, I'm not going to have anything to show. This isn't going very well. And my friend was so nice helping me out. He like made some really sweet little 2D textures of spaceships. And I was really excited to use them. And I don't remember if I ever got to use them. So we'll see, I guess, what this looks like. And maybe I have them stowed away somewhere and I can do him the honor of actually using the textures he spent time on. Because, yeah, they were much better than my textures. And that was cool. Well, compiling the old space shooter. Let's see what happens. I think we might have ended up trying Unity for this for a while and ran out of time and just didn't have anything to show. Oh, okay, here it is. This is essentially nothing. I basically have a top-down camera that moves, and I was gonna have like little spaceships, and you go through a level and fight stuff and shoot, and all the usual top-down shooter things. But it ended up being just this. Yeah, I think we essentially ran out of time if I remember correctly, and there's just not, you can't really do much. You can move around like a top-down camera. So that's all it looks like, but we were working on it. All right, so let's go to the next one. I'm actually gonna see, that was 8. There is no 9, and that's true. So the 9th one was called Museum, and it was just basically supposed to be like exploring a museum, turning on and off lights around the place, and just kind of messing with how many effects we could do. So I'm going to show you that in Unreal. I hope I still actually have it. I'm not 100% sure I do. Let's see. I think it's on this version. So let's launch the old version of the engine here, and I'll show you what that looked like. I was going to do it in my engine, but I was kind of getting fed up with things, and I was having a tough time. So I think I just needed to step away, and I was like, all right, let's do this one in Unreal. I just want an editor where I can place blocks in an interface. And I don't really have any scripting for this engine yet, but I am actually working on that currently. All right, here's Museum. Let's open it. Oh, I need 4.22. Okay, let's see. So what I need to do here is just relaunch Unreal and launch 4.22. Here, this should work. Looks like they're on 4.23 now. So any of you out there that might be watching, what engine do you think is best? Unreal, Unity? I like them both, but I don't use them much because I don't know. I have this weird passion for liking to work on things under the hood, and I don't understand it myself, but I would rather build a game engine than use somebody else's. And I don't know why. When I think about it and ask myself why, I don't have a good answer other than I just like it. It's such a monumental, stressful task, and I guess I like that sort of thing. I like trying to beat impossible odds and stuff like that. It's just part of my personality, I guess. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna hit play and just kind of see where it left off. Okay, so it's just the first person guy, and I made a little building and I put some lights in it. And I think I was testing out making things in Blender and importing them, and that's basically all I did. I put them in little glass things, lined up everything. That's a weird thing I made in Blender. But the cool thing to me was, it was like, you just import objects and they all just work. And I was like, I need mine to do that. There's a little light I made to try to be like an alarm light, a thing or something. I don't know, but it never really got finished. As you can see, I just lined up everything and made it look like a little room, put a little light at the top, and hey, it's Unreal. That's what the 9th one was. So yeah, I guess I could have done something like this in my engine without too much trouble, but I didn't have objects loading from Blender at the time in my engine, and it does now support that. So you can just make whatever you want in Blender or Maya or whatever and import it, and it's no big deal. But yeah, Unreal, it's obviously not too hard to do that. So let's get out of here. That was it. And 10 never happened. 10 was supposed to be a game called Acid Frog, and I don't think it ever happened. There was no branch. Maybe I had a local branch at one point, but I don't think I ever pushed it because I don't think I ended up doing any work. It was another busy week at work. So let's look at some of these animation attempts and just see and just see what they are. I think 3 might be the one that actually does something. I don't know what this is. Oh, this was the oldest one. Let's check this one out. This was the one that was actually on the list. Model animations. So this was the next stale branch after Space Shooter that's on this Ancient Archer. Okay, yeah, we don't need Unreal anymore. All right, so back to this. Model animations. Let's just hit play. I don't know what's going to happen here. I have no clue what's going to happen here. It might even crash. It might not work at all. So we'll see. I remember, oh yeah, on one of these weeks, I spent like way too long messing with glyphs and loading in glyphs, and ultimately I think I had something wrong in the shaders, so it didn't work anyway. And it was such a stressful week to just be like, oh, I've just been messing with this all week, and when I finally try it, it just doesn't work. It was stressed. It was annoying, but I think I could figure it out now if I went back to it. But that's a lot of how coding is. I mean, there's a lot of like really popular YouTube channels with really smart and good coders at the helm of them, and they can show you stuff really quick that's just like, whoa. But for me, I'm not at that level yet. I hope to be someday, but you know, that's something that you can't really just do. You have to kind of work towards it and earn it. This is compiling. So maybe one day I'll be there, but right now, yeah, I still feel like I'm learning a lot of stuff. So it's cool on, you know, some days things will click, new things will click, and I'll be like, all right, cool, now I can do all this. So I guess that's kind of part of my drive to make an engine, is I just want to learn all of this stuff, and I feel like it's the best way to just dive in and really have no I'm trying to think of the right way to word this. I want to say no sympathy. Yeah, it is kind of like a no sympathy, because it is brutal to try to take on all this. But for some reason I like that. Yeah, you can't do much. All right, this was a branch. Oh, I remember this. This is just like a little square world to run around in. And yeah, there's some model loading here. That's, I think, done in Blender. And the rest of these were not. So this is just like a little arena with a little wooden ledge, basically. I don't know what, it was just a test. It was just a big test. And I think we can load in different worlds if I press 1, 2, and 3. So let's try it. 1, 2, yeah, 2, here we go. Here's some weird model that loads in with a lava texture for some reason. So this was also part of that world from Plant Growing. It's just a block that kind of represents layers of earth. That just kind of stayed in because I thought it was cool. And here's another switch. So I was also at this point testing out switching between different sets of things to render. And these were supposed to animate, and obviously they don't. So there were some weird errors. But being able to switch between sets of things to render was kind of cool. But I also noticed as I was doing this, anytime I switch levels, it doesn't free the old memory. So I noticed a big problem here when I was doing this. I'm like, oh, I am just continually pushing things to something, or I don't know. So watch, now I'll go back to this, and look, now I'm up to like 800. So eventually this would run out of memory and crash because something's, I got some garbage code in there. But that's not a big deal. That doesn't happen anymore in the new system. So that was model animations. Let's go to animations attempt 3 here. I don't know what this is, but out of these 3, I think this was the one that actually might compile. But these are going to be gone. I will be getting rid of these branches of code because they serve no purpose for me. I'm not going to go back and reference them or anything like that. Because from what I remember, the animation code is broken, and there's no sense referencing broken code. So I kind of need to start from scratch and dig in that way. I don't really want to fix my old broken code, because chances are it's like 1 or 2 little things somewhere, and that's so hard to fix when it's just, you can look at a wall of text and be like, all right, find the variable that's just in the wrong place. That can be so challenging, especially when you don't know where it's at. It could be anywhere. So I was trying to get all the referencing of the bones and the model translations right, and for some reason it just wasn't working, and it was frustrating. I feel like if I gave it took another crack at it, I could probably get it within a few days. But I'm just sort of taking a break from the whole animation pipeline, and I will revisit it. We'll get it working just like I will with the network code and improving all the other things. Just something that's going to be iterated over time. This is compiling. This might be very similar to model animations because I don't think I did a whole lot of different stuff. I think I was just testing different variants of working with the bones, I think. All right, what do we got here? Oh, I got rid of everything. Okay, there's like nothing here. There's literally nothing rendering. I don't know what's going on with this branch, but there's obviously nothing rendering. Okay, so let's go. What is this? I want to look at this. So this is something I kind of started more recently. I was going to make a game about like a swamp monster called the Swamp King. There's a little more to it than that, but I don't want to give away the whole story or the inspiration yet. But I don't think there's actually anything here. You might have seen it in Unreal when I launched it. I was just messing about. There's no real game here. But one day, I think I was working on this, and I was unhappy with the structure of the engine, and I just was like, screw it, I'm starting over. So that's when phase 2 was after this whole Swamp King branch. And this is a giant rework. This is nothing like the old version structurally. It's a whole different thing. So, oh, error list. I thought I was building. Am I building? Yeah, I'm building. I just don't see the little output thing down here for some reason. Maybe I clicked it off accidentally. But it is compiling. It is trying. So we'll give it a second. It's going right down there. And we'll see what happens. And then after this, I'll switch to the latest branch. I'm going to click it, and I'll talk a little about it, and then I'm going to end the video. So bear with me for just a couple more minutes. And I appreciate you guys hanging in for this long if you're here and just checking out all this stuff with me. Do let me know if you want to see any of this code, and let me know soon. If like you notice this video has been up for like a month and you say, hey, I want to see the code, I'm just going to say it's going to be gone. Don't expect it to be there, because I do want to make this public, and I do want to clean all that up first. All right. But maybe I still could anyway, to some extent. I might get a quick browse through of the code on one last video before I delete it, maybe, if people care at all. Because personally, I don't care. I don't want this code anymore. I remember writing it. I can do it better now. Yeah, I don't know what this is. This is the Swamp King's state right now. It's just a bunch of balls that don't render correctly, and a red screen. Yeah, I didn't really get anywhere with that. It's not a thing. So let's go to the latest one. I'll kind of show you where I left off and what I'm working on. Oh, this is already here. Let's just switch to it, and we'll hit play. So you immediately you'll notice I started changing the structure. I talked about this in the previous video, but I'm going to assume that not everyone's seen that. So there's engine files, and these are all like the back-end code. These should all interact with each other and be usable through a script, but the user shouldn't be able to like directly edit anything in here. And by user, I mean like person that's using the game engine to create a game. So within tests is like, okay, maybe some examples of what a developer would want to do to run their game. And the way this is achieved, for now, I'm sure there's a better way to do it. It's just what came to mind here. I'll show you in a sec. All right, so here's something. There's a few things. I remember when I left off, I was working on getting cell shading working. Cell shading is not working, but obviously I got some things moving around, rotating and moving with delta time. And once the cell shading is working, I can demo these further. So I'm working a lot on the model code more than anything these days, and just trying to get that as squared away as I can and support as much stuff that it can. And you know, there's a lot of work to do. I don't have the skybox on right now, so it's just a green background. So this is its current iteration. This is where we're at, and it's got a full screen hotkey, which blanks out my recording screen for a minute apparently. So that wasn't in the previous one. I took it off full screen there, and there we go. All right. So yeah, this is what I'm working on currently. It's really a whole different structure altogether. So yeah, so I build up these engine files. Try to make a little thing, run some tests. I think I'm mainly using this. These are all test files, and model just runs whatever you want to run of them. And it's a very straightforward test system. I thought about using Catch 2 or something, but that doesn't seem necessary. I probably will later. And yeah, here's the function. So one of the cool things about this that I just decided to do, and it seems to be working out okay. We'll see how long it continues for. Let me do a collapse all function here. Press buttons. There we go. I'll scroll up. Oh, okay, so this is a one function that does a bunch of stuff. Stress engine function. So yeah, so I'm supposed to stress the engine. I got a whole bunch of models I made with Blender, and I've got some fly speed stuff for the camera controls, and I make a bunch of functions. So this right here is a static function that I'm making here, so it can be used, and a show pitch and yaw. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Custom key input. So basically, I'll go to the engine and just show you this. What you do when you want to get your engine going is you instantiate the engine, then you add all of this stuff. You want to set up your keys, your mouse, and your scroll. And the reason you set them is because you want to have access to them from whatever file you're working in. And they're not hidden within the engine, but the engine needs them so that it can update them. And then you also add functions to any of these parts of the main loop. So the main loop's kind of handled for you. All you got to do is add functions to, well, there's the on begin that runs once. There's the on delta update that will take a delta time, and you can do what you want with that. There's the on render, where you should basically render what you need to render. And there's on update, which is, stuff you want to process in your loop, but it doesn't rely on delta time. And there's key handling that will update your keys. So you can take whatever these keys are and do all your controls of that, switching stuff, and same with the scroll and mouse. So and then you basically run the engine. You don't have access to these private ones. So when you run the engine, it does begin, and then it starts a loop where it does update, render, or update. And that's basically it. I put a timer in there. Yeah, so the main loop looks a little like, and this is probably something you've seen before, but when you hit run is what enters the main loop. It's this whole function right here. And there's the main loop. So it does a few things for the main loop. It checks the keys and mouse and scroll are set. Just a little test because you kind of need something. And then it runs the begin function. And if you look at any of these, they basically just go through a loop of all the stuff you've added to the engine as a developer. So you can kind of set those up how you want. You can set up the begin, the update, the render, and the update how you want. And if you're doing it with all within a file, and you can have like static variables to stay in place so that you can use them in your lambdas, and those will work for your engine. And you can essentially build a game by just scripting in C++. Now, I've thought about making some sort of actual scripting functionality support so that you could do it in like Lua or something, and I might add that later. But for now, you basically script in C++. And it seems a little weird, but I personally like it. I find it to be nice. So I can just basically build up a file, instantiate an engine, and do whatever I want with my engine, and then I just run that in my main like so, and it does everything. So I could make an entire game like that, and it would be interesting to see how it did on memory. But as you can see, with this test of adding these objects and processing them all, this only uses 67 megabytes, and most of that is the GLFW stuff. So I'm probably only using like 1 or 2 megabytes in all that stress code, and that's moving, placing, loading in textures. I've got more textures to load. So as it grows, it'll obviously get bigger, but I'm pretty happy with it being how it is so far with using only 67. That might be a lot to some people, but comparing to my old versions where I was using like 300, 400 megabytes somehow, I don't even know how, this feels pretty good. And it's obviously using like no CPU power there. You can see. And yeah, I have a little C out here. I need to get rid of those, but there's a lot of testing going on. All right, so that's the engine. That's where it's at now. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys all have a great holiday. I don't know what time of the year you'll be watching this, but it's about to be Christmas in, I don't know, 20 days, 18 days. So most people are kind of in that mode around here. but you could also be watching from somewhere else. I have no control or idea, but I appreciate anyone from wherever you are that's into this coding stuff as much as I am. It's such a cool, fun thing to do. I will be continuing this project, this vlog. I'm trying to get back to my screen. Why is it not letting me? I think it crashed. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing this and continuing to work on all this. And, you know, if you want to see more, you want to see how this goes, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you appreciate these sort of videos and want to show your support, you're welcome to do that via comment, via an upvote, via checking out my Patreon or my other stuff. Whatever you want to do, that's cool. All right, well, keep coding, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Over and out. This has been Matt from Code Tech and Tutorials. I'll see you guys in the next video.